Husband's ex asked him to donate sperm after their son suddenly passed away, and my husband said he wanted to help her, but then I discovered they had frozen embryos together from years ago and she's already pregnant with one. Hey, guys. My husband, 40M, and I, 33F, have been happily married for 3 years now. My husband had a son from a previous relationship before we got together. I have been in my stepson's life since he was 2 years old, he turned 6 years old this year, and got along very well. My stepson's bio mom, BM, and I have never been friends in any capacity, but have always been cordial/respectful on the rare times we interacted and never had any issue with one another. My husband and BM are similarly cordial/respectful, and communicative around their son's needs, but not really friends beyond that. We pretty much adhered to a parallel parenting style and it worked fine. 4 weeks ago, my stepson tragically and very suddenly died from an infection. It has been just absolutely devastating for everyone. BM is especially just wrecked. Her son was literally her entire life and purpose as a stay-at-home single mom. My grief cannot compare to the level I know she feels, and I do have compassion for that. My husband is of course also exceptionally distraught. I've been doing my best to be understanding in how they both need to grieve as parents. 2 days ago my husband said he had something he needed to discuss with me. He explained that BM approached him with a request. She asked my husband to be her sperm donor for IOI/IVF as she desperately wants to be a mom again and wants to conceive a child with the same partner that her son had. He basically made it clear it is something he is willing, even wanting, to do, but knows he needs to understand how I feel about it. Well, I'd how exactly to communicate what I feel about it at this point, but the feelings are not good ones. I told him I needed some time to process this. My husband and I have been trying to have a child of our own for the past few months, so this is even more personally difficult for me to take in. I think I already know that I am not okay with my husband having another child with his ex. But I am thinking of suggesting we offer her financial support to seek out alternative fertility options that do not involve my husband's sperm, and quite honestly, do not involve 18 years of co-parenting. I'm actually not even sure what BM and my husband are thinking regarding that in this scenario. Additionally, BM is 41 years old, so there is a high probability this whole situation would be a lot of money and time spent without any results. Overall, I think I'm just in shock here. I feel disrespected and angry, but I also understand it's not really just about me here. And that both of them are struggling to cope with this unimaginable grief. I would just appreciate some level advice from people outside this situation, specifically advice on how I should convey that I am not on board with this without making it a point of contention. Edit. Thank you so much already for the responses. I feel like this is happening to someone else. It is such a shocking and emotional wave after wave, very difficult to process and think totally rationally. I honestly consider understanding and compassion to be personal strengths of mine, so I appreciate the replies acknowledging that I am not betraying that by being a firm no on facilitating this situation. I would just add that I am fortunate to be financially stable independently, and my husband and I had already set aside a fairly significant sum specifically for child support, so even had this specific scenario not arisen, I feel obligated to offer some if not all of that to BM, since it was always intended to go to her and son. Anyway, I will keep reading through replies. Thank you again, and at this point plan to speak with my husband this evening about feeling it is inappropriate to consider this now, and dealing with his grief first and foremost with professional help. Update 1. Thank you again to the blunt takes on my situation. Days are still mostly a blur right now, and writing out my issue and reading through the straightforward advice did help ground me a bit. I went ahead and took action on something I could control, reached out to my therapist and got a reference for a couples counselor who is specifically experienced in dealing with grief around child loss. I was thankfully able to get us fit in for an appointment this week. After I returned home from work last night, my husband came into our room and immediately started sobbing and apologizing. He had spoken with his dad that day and told him what BM had proposed. My father-in-law, bless him, had apparently really went off on the delusion of it. My husband and I had a long into the early morning talk about it, and he was able to recognize and explain that what seemed like interest in BM's request was misplaced desires. He explained that he's been so focused and excited about the prospect of planning for a child with me for the last 4 months and envisioning life as a father of 2, and it felt confusing to still be feeling that while dealing with the devastation of losing his son. BM's ask was a total shock for him too, and when you're face to face with someone grieving so deeply asking for your help/a solution, however absurd it is, it's not always as easy to think logically. He was receptive and seemed relieved to have the therapy appointment, so I am hopeful that will be a start in unpacking these complicated and conflicting feelings. We agreed that he should ultimately end all contact with BM, but will still consider what sort of short-term/lump sum financial support makes sense with consult from a lawyer to keep it entirely copacetic. I realize some commenters find the financial part odd, but I just feel strongly about extending appropriate generosity in this transition since we have the means to do so. We also agreed to hold off on any child planning until sufficient time and counseling takes place. Also, I just want to address the comments on stay-at-home single mom aspect in defense of BM. I only mentioned that part to say how entirely devoted she was to her son. She was the primary physical caregiver, and yes, the child support order was enough that it allowed her the option to stay home full-time and live comfortable but not extravagantly. Is it the same decision I would make as a career-minded person? No, but that was her prerogative and I do respect that. I really don't know much about BM as a person, but what I do know is that she was raising a kind, funny, and smart boy who was loved and cared for, and that was what ultimately mattered. To say there's a lot still up in the air emotionally is an understatement. My husband and I are saying the right things to each other now, who knows what it will end up being in practice. But I am hopeful at this point that my husband and I will be able to move forward together. Update 2. I received many very kind, compassionate, helpful comments and PMs from my original posts and thought it would be easiest to update here for those that asked because it's a wild development. So I found out that my husband did not tell me the truth about BM's request. The truth being that he and BM had frozen embryos when they were together from years ago and she was planning to use those. I obviously had no idea they had done this and likely would have never known if not for the fact that BM did have a successful implantation and is now in her first trimester, so my husband was forced to come clean. The distress I feel about everything that has happened in the past 4 months is beyond words, so that's it, that's the update. I don't know what to do regarding so many things about this. At least I have a good therapist. Comments where Op has replied, Comment 1, so he agreed to let her use the frozen embryos without your knowledge and is only letting you know now that the implantation is successful? I can't even imagine how you're feeling right now. But what about you? Were you guys still actively trying for a baby? Oop, yes. I'm now questioning a lot about what he relayed to me regarding his past and general communication with BM. It seems like they maybe always had some kind of understanding that she could utilize the embryos when she wanted regardless of my stepson's passing. I even think that weirdly she thought I was aware of this or something. But yeah, we stopped trying after my stepson's passing. Of course, I can't imagine also being pregnant at this time, so I know that's for the best, but yeah, I honestly feel really embarrassed to be involved in this like some kind of third wheel. I'm mad. And I'm really sad. And sad for their future child. Comment 2, oh gosh, I'm really sorry to hear that. I was hoping it was done without his knowledge. I understand that BM and your partner are grieving, but this is a big lifetime decision that your partner excluded you on. You went into the relationship knowing about your stepson and that was your choice to accept, but in this situation it seems that you have been refused that. What does this decision mean for you and your husband? What does he have to say? Oop. He just said he didn't expect to meet someone like me and didn't want to lose me, so he basically compartmentalized things and hoped for the best. It all kind of feels like variations of lies now though. I wish more than anything that all this could have come to light without my stepson's passing being the catalyst. No one is anywhere close to accepting the grief of that at this point. I plan to let my husband and BM move on with that without me though. Comment 3, how did he think he was going to get away with this? I get that your husband and his ex are grieving, but this is basically a screw you to your marriage. He lied. 2. You. Is he now going to go to all the antenatal classes, attend the birth and have 50% custody? You signed up for it the first time around. This is an entirely different scenario. Has he now decided to put starting your own family on the back burner because he can't cope with 2 babies at once? I'm so indignant on your behalf, and honestly thought you had it sorted at your first update. The only way I think you could salvage your relationship at this point is if he signs his rights away as a sperm donor and is not on the baby's birth certificate. Oop. I'm mortified at how hopeful my previous post reads. I feel quite set on filing for divorce as soon as I can get myself out of bed. I'm not fit to be a stepmom or a wife anymore. Next story, boyfriend spends every weekend playing Magic and ignores me. We have intimacy once a week because of his low libido and he's never reciprocated. Then he broke up with me right before we were supposed to move in together. Hello, everyone. I, 28F, have been with my boyfriend, who I will call James, 34M. For about 5 months now. I can honestly say that I love him. However, one thing is driving a huge wedge between us, his love of, or should I say obsession with, Magic, the Gathering. Due to the nature of his job, he's on the road Monday to Thursday, we only see one another 3 days a week. I freelance from home, so I mostly have an open schedule. One of those days is entirely dedicated to MTG. I mean, we're at the shop from 3 until closing, the first one's in and the last one's out, always. Mostly, I'm okay with this. I know hobbies are incredibly important for socialization and they overall improve your mental health and quality of life. Besides, I was made aware of this weekly tradition very early on in our relationship. Therefore, I never guilt trip him into not going. In fact, I go with him despite not playing or really understanding the game because he likes having me there. Last weekend, he wanted to do Magic Friday and Saturday night. I informed him that I cannot handle 6 hours of MTG 2 nights in a row. I told him he could still go, but I would either find something else to do or stay home and chill. He insisted he would stay with me and hang out, important, as his daughters were in town the week before and we got zero alone time together, if my plans fell through. To be clear, I did not pressure him into not going. I told him I would not make the decision for him. He still chose to stay. That night, he spent 4 or 5 hours playing Magic Online while I sat there and tried to get him to actually interact with me, to no avail. It was always one more game. He finally quit around 2 a.m. He went to sleep before we could have sex, which is a separate, but equally important, issue. I have a high libido and he has a low libido. We have sex about once a week, which has never been enough for me. I told him at the start that sexual compatibility was important to me, as I never want to feel bad for needing sex to feel close to my partner. I was led to believe he shared this view. Come to find out, we are not sexually compatible, and he is either unable or unwilling to compromise with me despite numerous talks on the subject. In 5 months, I could count the number of times he has initiated sex on one hand. I can count the number of times he has gone down on me with no hands. Given it has never happened, I have asked several times. The answer is always soon. I know I can't force him to be in the mood. I'm just sick of the lack of reciprocation, and feeling like we would have no sex life if I didn't push for one. He says he feels bad about not satisfying my sexual needs and ignoring me last weekend to play Magic Online. However, I don't feel any sincerity in his words, because we've been here before with my expressing that I would like him to scale back the amount of magic in our relationship. Reddit, I'm at a loss. I've read this sub for years and I anticipate the sorts of responses I will get here. In fact, I know what I would say if I were on the other side of the computer screen, but I love this man. He is kind, compassionate, gentle and loving. This is one of the easiest relationships I've ever been in terms of generally getting along. He is great with my mental health issues. I should mention that he is the first boyfriend I've had in 8 years. Almost all of my 20s were lost to me due to severe anxiety, depression and addiction issues. I was a hermit until mid-2018. I would say our communication is pretty good. We discuss issues ad nauseum and we do try to compromise. I just don't see the kind of change I desire from these conversations. My main question is, how do I not grow to resent him for his inability to control his magic consumption? Is this relationship salvageable? Or are we too different? Additional context: he was married for 9 years, the marriage ended in 2016. This is the first serious relationship he has been in since. So maybe this is just growing pains? Comments where Op has replied. Comment 1. Why the hell do you feel you have to hang around watching him play Magic for hours once a week? Do something else. And don't stay in a relationship where there's this much sexual incompatibility this early. He doesn't feel bad enough about not satisfying you that he actually does anything about it. Oop, small podunk town. Not a lot to do. Also, I've had to start from scratch with establishing friendships. There's that too. I would prefer to just stay home and see him after, but he wants me there. We do spend an hour or so playing Pokemon Go, a game I began playing for him, but have grown to enjoy, beforehand. Comment 2, I would prefer to just stay home and see him after, but he wants me there. He wants you there so he can show off the fact that he has a girlfriend. I know guys like this, and their fundamental character attribute is selfishness. He shows it by monopolizing your time, and he shows it in the bedroom, or while he's on his computer and you're in his bed alone. This kind of just okay enough relationship is going to rot you from the inside out. You'll slowly feel yourself dying inside as you try to suppress that persistent, panicked realization that this isn't right, and you deserve happiness. But he can't give it to you. Get out now, before you sink the next 10 unhappy years of your life. Oop, this was a gut punch. Update, so it has been 9 months since I posted in here. I got some good advice, which I mostly ignored, but I thought it deserved an update anyway despite the fact that it got little attention. The basis of my previous post was that my boyfriend was addicted to Magic, the Gathering. He constantly wanted me to come to tournaments with him and watch him play even though I had no interest in the game and it was boring to me. Our problems obviously ran deeper than that. He ignored me to feed his addiction to video games, including MTG, Arena, and he lied to me about our sexual compatibility very early on in our relationship. Well, I wish I could say I walked away shortly after that post. I knew deep down I should have, but I didn't. We stayed together almost 14 months and not only did the situation not improve, it got much worse when he lost his job in early June. Still though, I loved him and I thought he loved me, so I stayed and tried to remain patient with him. After all, he lost his job and that is an obvious stressor. Then, he got into school an hour from our hometown shortly before our 1-year anniversary, and it was decided that we would move in together the following month, once I found a job in the big city. I did that a few weeks ago and I thought things were on track. Exactly 1 week before I was supposed to start and we were to officially move in together, he got emotionally distant, which he expressed was because of stresses associated with a full-time job and taking night classes, but he never communicated any problems with us. Last Wednesday, he snapped me on the way to work, after ghosting me pretty much the whole day, to let me know he was rethinking our relationship. We didn't get to have a conversation about it for almost an entire day. We talked, he said he needed more time to think and would let me know what he decided on Friday, then he called and broke up with me in a 10-second phone call 5 minutes before work that same night. Like an idiot, I still clung to the idea that I could fix things if only I could show him living together would be fine. He allowed me to stay with him for 2 weeks while I looked for my own place in the city he moved to, and we decided to give it a try. I got up there and realized I hated the city, the job, and I could not emotionally handle being around a man who explicitly told me spending time with me felt like an obligation, and his video games, or chill time, were more important. It just hit me in an inexplicable wave. I left work and sobbed in the parking lot. Then I suddenly knew this man-child was never going to not be selfish, or prioritize anyone over his wants and needs. I spent the last year being the cool girlfriend who didn't rock the boat. I put my needs to the side in order to sustain a relationship that was never going to work. One comment from my op has remained in my head since I last read it. I know guys like this, and their fundamental character attribute is selfishness. He shows it by monopolizing your time, and he shows it in the bedroom, or while he's on his computer and you're in his bed alone. This kind of just okay enough relationship is going to rot you from the inside out. You'll slowly feel yourself dying inside as you try to suppress that persistent, panicked realization that this isn't right, and you deserve happiness. But he can't give it to you. Get out now, before you sink the next 10 unhappy years of your life. It pretty much hit the nail on the head. I knew things weren't right, but I still tried and my efforts failed. It hurts like hell still, because I do genuinely care for him, but it's for the best. I've moved from the grief and denial stages into anger. I'm angry with him for being so damn selfish and being so bad at communication, but I'm mostly mad at myself for getting into a relationship with someone like him in the first place. He says we should break up, work on ourselves separately, then try to find our way back to each other, and I thought I wanted that, but again, he is literally never going to change. I, on the other hand, am gonna go have some good segs for a change with a guy who doesn't treat it as an obligation. I'm gonna reconnect with my friends, and use this learning experience to finally get my own physical and emotional problems under control. I'm not doing it for him, but for myself. I advise anyone who is dealing with so who has an addiction, or incompatible libidos to leave if you try to talk it out and nothing changes. You can't save them, you can only save yourself. Don't be like me. Don't waste a year of your life on a selfish person who only cares about their next fix, be it drugs, alcohol, gambling, or a video game addiction. You'll find yourself miserable and alone in your own relationship, and you only have yourself to blame.